Hello, it's Philip Carr-Gomm. It's Monday, the 4th of May, 2020. And welcome to Tea with the Druid 124. Do say when you arrive. And in this period, Heliette is first. Hello, Heliette. Bonjour. Coffee and Hillsborough. Larry on coffee. I'm on coffee as well. Yes. We'll have to change the title. Coffee with a Druid. Everybody's piling in. AD from New Zealand. How lovely. On the other side of the world. That's fantastic. So I'm going to start our session this evening in a way that I've been starting this home retreat meditation series. I've been doing a long, deep meditation with anybody who wants to join me. And it's pre-recorded. It's not live like this. It's pre-recorded, so you can use the meditation as often as you like during the week. And we're on week 7 now. It's called The Garden of Flowing and Perpetual Happiness. And there's a little film and an audio and so on. And I always start with this, which is a great way to begin, certainly to begin a retreat. I'm gonna start where you allow the sound. You can use a gong or a bell or whatever to travel into the silence, just to let the mind settle, just to go a little bit deeper than the everyday chatter. So let's follow that sound into the silence just for a few moments to settle as more people arrive in the forest clearing. In Druid ceremonies, we say we leave outside all disturbing thoughts as we step into the circle in a ceremony. And that's really the same process there. I hope you're doing well. Do type in a word on how you're feeling today. It'd be lovely to hear from you. You might be feeling fabulous. I've been talking to lots of people over the last week, and a lot of people are actually feeling rather good. They're appreciating the lack of stress in their world as everything's so different. Some people are concerned and worried. So people are feeling different. So let's just check in and say, just type in one word for how you're feeling. It's been a strange day for me. Those days when it seems like the electricity isn't working in your brain. Somebody's unplugged your brain and just the circuits aren't firing. Been like that for me. Luckily, this doesn't happen often. I know clearly it's related to all sorts of things, the pressure in the air. If you're not feeling well, it's happened more often and so on. And I appreciate that for many people, and certainly in certain conditions, this can happen quite often. Or, people have migraines, for instance. That's so tough. So when it happens to me, it always comes as a surprise because it's unusual for me. And right up until you'll see, if you saw the notice about this session, you'll see I was very fuzzy. And I said I'd have coffee, and I do. I have a nice strong coffee here with me. And up until just a few moments ago, I was still feeling that way. And so I did actually what we've done now, dropping into the silence. I just need to drop into the silence here for a moment. I didn't know what I was going to say or, what conversation we could have. And what came to me is let's just talk, let's choose as a topic for ourselves today, what to do with emptiness. This feeling of emptiness, of nothing much going on in our minds. And of course, when you start to analyze that, there are all sorts of ways you can experience it. I remember when I lived in New Zealand, and Verity and Rob were living together at that time, friends down the road in New Zealand. And they introduced me to the concept of mental health days. And they had the thing where every so often they would have what they would call a mental health day, which was where they just wouldn't work and they would just slob about and play video games. And of course, at one level, it might have been an excuse to play video games. The general principle was great, just to take the pressure off. And that something interesting occurs to me there. We've heard a lot about mental health, how the lockdown will be negatively affecting people's mental health. But I haven't heard so much about the opposite phenomenon that could well be occurring. What if it's affecting people's mental health in a positive way, that people are feeling less stressed, more spacious and so on. In fact, we can get instant check, feeling good, rested. Anyway, I'll have a look at how you're feeling. Feeling sunny, hooray. Drained but relaxed, good, better than yesterday. Feeling exactly the same. Okay. I do feel a little unplugged. Maybe we're all being unplugged for some great cosmic plan. We're going to be recharged in a different way. Some adjustments are being made. And we're going to feel re-plugged in. Sleeping so much better than normal, says Julia. Feeling great. Feeling grateful, relieved. Yeah, okay. So a whole range. Poor Sally is having a migraine. Oh dear. Heightened anxiety from Karen. So a whole range. We've got the whole range of feelings here. But I think it is interesting, isn't it, to ask, maybe there will be some positive mental health benefits from this. I know I've heard from a number of people who say that they're not going to go back to their old way of living, where they were running around like headless chickens, forcing themselves to work really hard. There was a guy in Canada who started the Work Less, Play More party a long time ago. And it wasn't successful. He didn't get enough votes. He's the same guy who started the World Naked Bike Ride, which did get a lot of traction. And there are, as you may know, there are World Naked Bike Rides in a number of cities all over the world. The idea of being naked, apart from it being wacky and fun, was to stress the concept of being vulnerable. So you're vulnerable on a bike, and really showing car drivers, be careful. Let's have more cycling, less cars. It's been hugely successful. It's always coincided with our Glastonbury gatherings of the Order. So sometimes I have stood up in Glastonbury Town Hall and said, I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is we've got a wonderful lineup of speakers over the weekend and so on. The bad news is we're all going to miss the naked bike ride in London and Brighton and Bristol. So why am I talking about this? So I thought it would be good to look at this, and rather than our immediate tendency is to try and get away from what we perceive as a difficult or uncomfortable state. And one of the old psychotherapist tricks is to actually home in on it and focus, and mindfulness as well, and sophrology and all sorts of approaches. Is like, actually, let's just stay with this. So when I sit with this emptiness and fuzziness, at one level, it's actually quite pleasant because I can just zone out, I suppose, is the phrase you'd use. But I think it also gives a chance for something new to come into our lives. And that's why the Sacred Grove meditation, I think, this particular way of meditating that we use in Druidry, and which forms the basis for working in the order and the training that we do going through this. That's a really interesting comment from Selena, who says she hasn't taken antidepressants since this started, haven't needed to. That suggests you were before the lockdown. If that's the case, then that's really very interesting, Selena. Thank you. Yes, that very often something new is yes. So we use the Sacred Grove exercise as a way of coming into a clearing. A clearing in itself is a very interesting concept because it's a nothing, no thing. You're in the forest, which is a thing, an entity, and then you come into a clearing, and suddenly the forest isn't there it's a clearing. So why do we suggest to students in the OBOD course that they meditate in no place? Why do we lead them from a lovely place, the forest with all its connection with nature, into an empty space, if you like? Well, because in that empty space, we are actually still connected with nature, but we're also open to receive. We're open to receive, and it becomes like a transit place between two worlds. So let's go to that place now. But I'm seeing such interesting comments that I suggest when this recording, this broadcast is over, have a look at what everybody's saying, because I just from glancing at it, I'm seeing off my anti-anxiety tablets and spiritually grounded. So again, Kit, you've said what somebody else said earlier, and again that implies you were on them, and have you stopped taking them during the lockdown? That's really interesting. I think if this is the case, and Sophia saying Mental Health Day, what a wonderful healing concept. Yes. Debbie would love this break in chaos to continue. You know, I've spoken to several people, just local friends I've bumped into in the street. Well, not bumped into, of course, met in the street. And they've said, I actually want this lockdown to go on. I'm really benefiting from this. So yes. Ines, I need vacations, even if I'm bound to stay at home. Well, that need for, if you analyze that, Ines, I think you'll find that need is actually a need to alter your consciousness. If I dare suggest what the real need is, it's not necessarily to move your body to a different place for the benefit of some new sights and some warmer weather or different weather or the sea or whatever it is you might. I would venture to suggest that the need for a holiday is a need for a change in consciousness, which is why going into the sacred grove, why meditating, why spiritual practice is of such value, because they're like little spiritual holidays, little holidays which fulfill that need that is actually coming from deep within the soul. So let's try it now. Let's have a little holiday. Let's go within and let's see how we feel afterwards from this. So just begin by just a bit of a stretch. And then if it feels okay for you to close your eyes, close your eyes. And then take in a slow, deep breath. Hold for a moment, and then let that breath out fully and deeply through your mouth. Do that one more time in your own time. And now becoming aware of being seated where you are, just allow yourself to gently let that awareness change to an awareness of coming into a sacred grove, of moving through the trees, and of coming to be seated in this beautiful clearing in a forest. And you sense the ground beneath you, and you look at the ground, the earth. You feel the energy of that earth, all the life in that earth. And you just allow any stresses or tensions just to drain into the earth. It can deal with it. It can just take it all away from you like that. And instead you feel a gentle, healing, calming energy flowing up into your body, into your being from the earth. And you become aware of the way in which the trees all around are rooted in the earth. You feel them as living beings. You sense their consciousness, their spirits. These living beings, your brothers and sisters, your elder brothers and sisters, perhaps even, wiser than us, gentle and powerful at the same time, rooted in the earth, giving oxygen, giving life. And you sense their protection and their power. And you become aware of the sky above you, the clear blue sky, the green leaves of the trees above, and you breathe in the energy of this sky. And as you breathe in the energy and vitality of the sky, this energy meets the energy of the earth within the center of your being. And we'll have a few moments in silence together where you just allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling, but being open to the energy and the peace and the quiet of this place. No need to think anything, see anything, just being open to whatever you experience. And seated in this grove, you may feel that sometimes even the smallest change, the smallest amount of energy, the smallest gift from the world of nature that comes into your energy field, that comes into your consciousness, is a gift that can bring medicine and magic into your life. Health and healing into your life. And so placing your hands and your imagination on the earth in front of you, you feel your love for the earth and for the planet, for the realm of the plants, for the realm of animals, for the trees and the birds, for the blue sky and the clean water, for the whole earth. May the land be blessed. May our lives be blessed. And you lift your hands up and you bring your hands to your heart, and you feel love in your heart, warmth in your heart. And knowing that you can return to this place at any time for rest and inspiration, you allow yourself now to let this awareness of being in the sacred grove to fade as you become aware of being seated here in front of your computer or your screen, fully present, here and now. And slowly you open your eyes. I'm reading your comments here, and Marie, it's lovely seeing. I don't wish fuzziness on anyone. But when I'm feeling fuzzy and embarrassed and anxious and hear of others also struggling, I feel more human and more able to forgive myself for not firing as usual. I think that's so true, that there's a big difference between moaning, dumping. If I came on just moaning about how I was feeling fuzzy and that's something else. But I think if one can just try to be real and try to share one's being and feelings and so on in an atmosphere of freedom and comradeship and companionship, it's about being human, isn't it? Gosh, so lots and lots of comments. This is lovely. Now, Gina Rosa, that's interesting. Solo lockdown in a new city, profoundly lonely. It's affecting my sense of reality. I need actual conversation and eye contact, not messaging. Deeply aware right now of how our brains and senses are geared towards being social. Was it Jung who said, the way to individuation is through relationship? And that's how I feel now. I'm not sure if I exist in this relationship vacuum. This is why they use solitary confinement as punishment. We are social animals. Now, that's really interesting, I think, because I've been having an interesting thought that maybe I'm aware of time marching on. So I'm just going to mention this and maybe we can talk about it next time. But have a think about this. I've been having two feelings now. On the one hand, I've been having a desire to not engage in so much social media, or in fact in the internet at all. And I've started introducing screen-free days. Just just for the moment, just on a Sunday. It's rather tragic to admit that I haven't had these before, but in the last 2 weeks, I haven't looked at a screen on Sunday, and I love it. It's fantastic. And I'm thinking of extending my screen-free day to Saturday as well. And I was saying to Stephanie today, I feel like extending it to the whole week. It's really interesting. I think we've all become so wired up at some level with these connections that a retreat from the internet is really refreshing. I certainly find it. Maybe it's hard, a bit like fasting, physical fasting, where you don't eat for a couple of days. That can feel hard as well, but it makes you feel great if provided you're sufficiently healthy to be able to do it. But at the same time, as Gina says, there's something about our need for socialization, and we have a 2-meter table in our garden, and we've started to invite people to come and bring their own sandwiches and drinks and sit at the other end of the table, just so we can have a face-to-face conversation. We were talking with a friend in the States who was saying she rang up a friend and invited her to come bring a donut, and they both sat in the park 2 meters away from each other and ate donuts and talked to each other. I know for Gina, if you're in a new city, that sort of thing may not be possible, but thank you for raising that, because I think it's an important issue to consider. Social engagement, social distancing doesn't. The World Health Organization wanted us to change it to physical distancing. And in New Zealand, ahead as New Zealand is in so many things, I love New Zealand so much. They're so advanced. God, I love them. And one of the things right from the beginning is they use this concept of physical distancing, not social, because we don't have to be we're not socially distancing now, are we? We're engaging, interacting, but we're physically distant. Okay. So that's enough, but maybe let's talk about that more. Have a think, and we'll talk about it next week. Whether we all need an internet fast. Maybe the next level of lockdown will be to lock down our computers as well. Should we do that? All right, leave you with that question. Should we lock down our computers? Should Tea with the Druid go off the air for a month? As a sort of, and everybody else as well. I don't know. Let's see what you think. Anyway, lots and lots of love, many, many blessings. I hope next week is really good for you, and that all the positive benefits from what's happening outweigh the negative for you, and that you're able to grow those seeds. And I very much look forward to reading everybody's comments, because they look so interesting. Okay, bye.